We are live. We are live today with Ann Crawford and Bonnie McDonald Dixon. That's me, and that's Ann. And we have become fast friends, and we realize something amazing. Both of us love to help people with their careers, and it's just a joy for both of us. And in talking, we realized that we wanted to help you manifest the career you love. And it's really, it's this could be a three-part series today, the 9th, the 17th, and the 24th. And we're gonna share with you some of the things you can do, some of the things you might want to know about to make your career something that you love as well. So, Anne, can you give us a little background on how you got started and what you love to do and share?
Hi, everybody. Well, I've been in business for 17 years, but I'll be honest with you, it didn't start out all that clear. So, this is what Bonnie and I really want to talk to you about, and is how you get that gut feeling. And when in my early 20s, I really didn't love what I was doing. I was working as a manager in a clothing store, and I did the job well. And then I went into business for myself with cleaning. I cleaned homes while my children were growing up, and it worked perfectly with my schedule. But that gut feeling there was just like, now there's a little bit more that I want to do. I admired Cheryl Richardson and I loved her books. And so, along with two other professional women, we started personal growth workshops. And we did those for about 4 or 5 years, where we took somebody with a large number of people actually with one problem and got them to find the solution. And after that, I said, you know what? I love this. And I went to coaching school and got certified. And the reason why I took career transitions as my niche is because I saw wonderful people who were dedicated, creative, and happy, and they hated their jobs. It just didn't fit their personalities at all. And I thought, boy, there's got to be something. You can't go through your whole life so unhappy with what you're doing, because let's face it, our jobs really are the bulk of our time. And usually you're there for 8 or 9 hours a day. Wouldn't it be great if something happy and fulfilling happened to you during those 9 or 8 hours a day, Monday through Friday? And that's where I am today, helping civilians in the military help them find careers that match their personal business ethics. So I want to hear Bonnie's story because it's pretty darn exciting.
We'll have a story before the story. I grew up, my father was a postman, my mother was a nurse, very, the typical of the 50s. My father, there were five of us kids, so he was a postman, and he actually would constantly complain about his work. Now, I know he loved it, but on the other hand, he complained about it. So as I grew up, I knew that I did not want to do that. I wanted to always be doing something I love. So I've had a portfolio career, I call it. I've changed jobs many times. One of the things that I with Anne, help to impart to you is how to make really good choices. Because sometimes I didn't make good choices, and sometimes I did. But what I want to share with you today is that you can have a job you love, and that is the bulk of your life. And it is so, so important. So, one of the things in my story is the intuition part. That's what we're going to talk about today. Is I was doing a job that I loved. I had created a little business, a natural foods brokerage, and I was living in Seattle. And I was driving home late one night, and as I drove along on the freeway, it was a new freeway. I felt the total overwhelming feeling that I needed to pull off at the upcoming exit, pull into a store that was late on a Friday night, like 7:30 on a night, dark and rainy. And I just knew that I had to do this. So I pulled in, I went into the store, and the gal there, her name was Bonnie as well as me. Her eyes got this big, and she said, "I just called you." Now, this was back in 1996, pre cell phone. And I kiddingly said, "Oh, I heard you, Bonnie. I heard you. I wasn't home yet, but I heard you." So I pulled off the freeway. And as she said that, she said, "I want to introduce you to this man, Tom Eccles." And of all things, here we are in the Northwest, Seattle. I said, "Hi, Tom." And he said, "Hi, Bonnie." He was from Southern California, and I knew him. And he was from a really well known Western US natural products distribution with a company. And we both knew each other. And he looked at me and he just said, "Bonnie, we are expanding to the Northwest. And why don't you apply for this job that we're opening up this territory as a sales rep?" And I said, "Oh, Tom, I have my own business. No, no, thanks." And he goes, "No, really, you know Gail. You know Gail. Why don't you just apply? And it's tomorrow down by the airport." So, needless to say, I woke up the next day on my 40th birthday and I drove to the airport area and I walked into the door where they were doing interviews. And who's there but Gail? And I actually knew Gail. I did know Gail. And I applied like everyone else. There were 300 applicants and I was the only applicant that not only knew their company intimately, but I also had worked for a year on my own business in the Northwest, and I knew the Northwest. Needless to say, they said, "What would you like?" And I got the car, I got the bonuses, I got the got everything I wanted, and it was amazing. So that is my intuition story. When you feel something come up and you say, "I need to go do that," it's something to really pay attention to. So that's my story. And Anne, I'd like to hear your intuition story as well.
I think throughout our lives we have several of them because once you become aware of the emotional side effects of intuition, you'll understand what we're talking about. So mine came about 4 years ago. I had grazed through, I belong to the International Coaching Federation, and they had posted that they needed coaches nationwide to help the Easter Seals Foundation with their employees under the stressful times during COVID. And it's so funny because I saw the email come in. I went, "Oh, that sounds interesting." Then it came around again, and I thought, maybe I'll do it. And my intuition kicked in. I said, it was a nagging feeling, just go on the site and see what it's about. Because I'm kind of cautious. How much commitment does this need? I read all the commitments. I read all the things that you had to do, and it was extensive. It was taking tests and having interviews and everything else. But my intuition kicked in, and I said, this is the right journey for me. And so I clicked on that link and I filled out all the forms. And it didn't bother me. It was a breeze. Everything went smoothly. And I felt very aligned with what this project was all about. And that's intuition kicking in. And I loved it. And lucky for me, I was picked as one of the coaches nationwide to do this project. And when I had my interview over the phone, more or less, everything fell into place. And that's your intuition saying you're on the right path. So that's my story. Never doubt it, because you really, when it's aligned perfectly, everything will work out the way it's supposed to.
Mm-hmm. That's really some great advice. I bet, though, even behind that, you have some maybe guidelines for the intuition as well.
Mm.
When we're feeling it, I first told Tom, no, no. And then I thought, be open to possibility. And I opened up a little bit more. And that's when I went. And when I met Gail, I knew it was the right thing because I knew and trusted and liked Gail. So that's when I went ahead and moved over from my own business to a job. But what I bet was with your training that you had from your coaching training, it kind of gives you guidelines for that intuition, because sometimes we just have a feeling, oh, we'll just go do that, but it may not be the right thing. So in talking about intuition, what are some of the guidelines that you think about when you think about intuition, Anne?
First of all, it's highly unusual that you get the intuition call and everything just falls into place. Before that, I had anxiety. Will I be good enough? Is this the right choice for me? Then you know you're kind of on the right path. Is this a challenge for me? What is stopping me? And then you begin to manifest the idea of, am I on the right track with this? Is this good for me? And if it says, if your gut feeling once again comes in and says, yes, it is, what danger could you be in? What harm could you could go through to finding out more information? That's your intuition kicking in. I think you have to have discussions with yourself. It's good to run your ideas by trusted individuals about, what do you think is going on here? Is this a good choice for me? And then decide for yourself. What are your thoughts on this, Bonnie?
Spot on. With that particular instance, I had been not only wanting, but needing more income. My car was a 10-year-old car. It was still going, but it was 10 years old. And I wanted health insurance at the time. And I also realized working alone wasn't always as easy as I thought. So as I looked at this job, I didn't accept it that day. I mean, I thought about it, talked with a trusted person. I did that. And I kind of laid out what was I looking for from what I was already doing and what did this offer me. And it all lined up. So it absolutely felt right. I think that was the other thing, is it felt so right. And again, it's not that it was perfect, but it was the perfect thing at that time. I call it the perfect job. We can make any job the perfect job because it's a leapfrogging. I have that in my book on how to get a job you love. It helps you leapfrog to the next
Correct.
thing that you go to, because if you take any job, I truly believe this in my heart. If you take any job you have, maybe you don't like it or there's some aspects you don't like, well, make it better yourself. You don't have to wait for a supervisor or someone to tell you what to do. You can say, how can I make this better? And as you make things better for yourself, people notice that you're willing to go the extra mile. And I think that's the whole thing too with this gut intuition, is what feels right and what is the next extra mile that we can do to help when we talk about manifesting. It's not just things fall in your lap. It's that you're doing your part with your life and getting more experience, more tools, and being valuable to wherever you're at any one time.
Yeah, I love the manifesting idea because this is where it starts. Now, you and I both, really the bulk of our clients sometimes aren't happy where they're working. So you're sitting at your desk one day and you go, I've had enough of this. What was that triggered, that gut feeling that said, today of all days, I can't handle this anymore? Now, to manifest change, you have to do a few things, and writing down the things that you love and dislike about where you are right now is great. I mean, your job tasks are fine, but that gut feeling, what does it make you feel like, is very important. So when you talked about your new adventure with your friend, there's probably a few butterflies that were in your stomach going, I'm really excited about this, but will this end my freedom as being a business owner? You know, the what ifs. And if you don't have any what ifs, then something is drastically wrong with you, because we all have to question the pros and cons of this gut feeling that we have. And from there, we can just dissect slowly but surely the positives, the negatives, and form a clearer vision of what comes next for us in our careers.
I like that. There's been other things in my life with the intuition, usually on relationships. And there was one relationship in particular. And I had an intuitive, almost a punch in the gut feeling. But I kept thinking, oh, it's not going to matter. But when you get that punch in the gut, all I can tell you is sit yourself down
Yeah.
and really, pay attention, because your body, your gut is part of your whole brain. I mean, everything's connected and
Yeah.
it's talking to you. And if you do not pay attention, it can cause havoc in your life if you don't pay attention.
I think people have the illusion that this gut feeling comes and you react and it's all over with. In my case, I had a relationship issues, and it took years for me, even though I had that gut feeling that something's off, something is not right. It took me years to get the guts to make the move, to understand what I needed to be a better person for myself.
Hmm.
And that's where your gut feelings are like so priceless in your life, because they direct you truly to the way you're supposed to be and who
Hmm.
you're supposed to be with. But sometimes it takes a long time. People who are jobs that are just, I'm just existing. That's,
Hmm.
I'm, it's okay, Anne. It's okay, Bonnie. I'm all right in my office. But you go home and you're like, something's missing here. That's your gut feeling saying, I
Hmm.
want and I need something more in my life. And sometimes you just have to build up to you form a plan going, okay, if I really do leave this job, what comes next? What's my financial situation? What is it going to wreck this status at home? I this works well with my daycare. This is going to ruin everything. You go back and you go forth. But if it's right on course, you'll always find the correct solutions. You
Hmm.
always will.
Hmm.
You always will.
Well, that's an interesting point, Anne. Way early in my career, I was doing a job because it was practically the only job around. It was the post office. I lived
Yeah.
in the middle of nowhere, and I was not happy at that job. I did the work. I was okay at it. I knew it wasn't my lifelong, desire to do that. I delivered mail in the Mojave Desert. It could be 115 Fahrenheit, or it could be 0 degrees with the wind blowing. So I started going to school at night because I knew I needed more tools in my basket. Again, thinking I was going to open a business and a store, actually. And the funniest thing happened was that when I left that job, I knew it was right. I knew. And the transition was I volunteered somewhere I wanted to work. I wanted to learn that business, the natural products industry. And my goal of getting the store did not come to fruition because the monies through did not show up like I had thought through a sale of a home. What was really interesting as I left though that job, because I was invited after a year of volunteering to become the general manager of this really massive store because I had volunteered time and was learning it. People were upset with me because I left a job. So sometimes you get pushback from family and friends. They're like, "Oh, the post office job is the best job ever. Why are you leaving it?" I go,
Mhm.
"Because I'm not fulfilled here. It doesn't make me happy. And you go try walking in 115-degree heat, for a day or two, and you'll find out why I'm leaving this job." But the thing is, I was ever so joyful, even though I dropped my wage down. I actually was in joy. And I think that's one of the things, Anne, that I want to share with people is it's not about the money. It's about, are you in joy? Because you can make more money, but you can't buy joy.
You cannot. No. It's almost like watching a toddler grow, and you put those pajamas that they wore 4 months ago on them and they're busting out of the seams. It's the same feeling. It's like, yes, you can still walk in them and play in them, but you know you've outgrown your
Mhm,
current situation. And in
mhm,
order to move more freely, you have to shed that pajama and go to the next size bigger. I'm
mhm,
telling you, it's in your heart. I see more people come to me that their parents had a huge influence whether or not they were in what they're doing right now. And they
Mhm.
don't want to disappoint them,
Mhm.
but their gut tells them, this isn't right for me. I did it to appease the people that love me. I want to be successful, but I just can't keep this up. I just can't be it. So they're in a dilemma whether they disappoint the loved
Mhm.
ones or they disappoint themselves. And let me
Mhm.
tell you, everybody, you're the CEO of your own body, and your body tells you what is right and wrong. And if you don't follow your gut instincts and your gut feelings, you're going to be in for a very sad future.
Mhm.
I can tell you right now.
That is profound advice. Here's a story that I love to share. Julio Iglesias, one of the top singers in the world, his parents says, "You will be a lawyer. That is what you will go do. You will go to school and be a lawyer." And he did. But guess what? He loved singing. Now, can you imagine him becoming a lawyer and never singing and becoming one of the top singers in the entire world because someone told him he had to be a lawyer? He never practiced, but he did get the lawyer degree. Maybe it helped him with his contracts down the line. I don't know. But I must tell you, the world would be not as a wonderful place without his beautiful singing and music. And to what you just shared is if we do not express what we're supposed to be doing, everyone loses. You lose. Even your people who keep telling you, you must go do that. Again, what you just shared, it is not their life. They had their chance.
Yeah.
This is your chance to go out and express your life and share your best with everyone.
It is so true. This triggers this one exhibit I went with my son in Ohio, and it was a Lego setup. Beautiful sculptures. I mean, amazing. And there on the side was the designer, and I can't remember his name. Sorry, everybody, I just can't remember it. But he started his life as a lawyer because he went the right, narrow way. Just like you said, his
Mhm.
parents told him, you're bright, be a lawyer. He did it for quite a few years. And he said the thing with him was he de-stressed by sitting on the floor every night after a horrible court case and something and built Legos because this de-stressed him. And then he found that he had kind of a knack for this. And that knack came into sculpturing big things. We're not just talking about like 2 feet tall here. We're talking about 10 feet tall sculptures of dinosaurs and really intricate cityscapes and things like that, to the point where he felt so fulfilled in doing that because it, instead of using his mind creatively to solve a case, he was using it to create art, and that's where his passion lied deep down inside. So now he's not a lawyer anymore, and now he has exhibits all over the world and is renowned for knowing and understanding what Legos and being creative play, the power of creative play does. And it all was on a gut feeling that he just said, this is my stress reducer. I'm going to go do it. Can you imagine the anxiety that he thought at the time when his gut was saying, you can't do this lawyer thing anymore? I'm giving up my salary, my stability, and everything for something I really love. But you
Mhm.
got to do it if you're going to become who you're going to be.
That's right. We've shared some wonderful stories, and I would say we're going to be talking next week about transitioning. This week was about paying attention to your intuition, your gut feeling. And so, my encouragement for this next or whenever you hear this broadcast, get a journal, make it a special journal just for this project. Write down things that you notice during the day. Little things. It could be about your health, could be about, are you thirsty? Could be about, are you hungry? Are you angry? feel all the feelings during the day. Feel your intuition if you feel something come up. I should be doing something, or I want to be doing something else, and write them just down for this next whole week, because Ann and I are going to give some more secrets, some more tips on how to transition. It's one thing to know you want to, but next week we're going to talk how do you do it and what does it take to do that. And then more exciting, even the third week, we're going to be talking about all the tools to use to do it. So you're not going to want to miss this. But if you catch this broadcast right now and you want to, make sure to connect. You can get the future broadcasts at gregdixon.net at Manifest Your Career You Love. So you'll be ready for these, because these are our first three. There may be more, hint, hint, but we want you to live the life you love, because there's nothing better, just nothing better than manifesting a career you love. It's your life.
That's right. Start
Hmm.
living it. Start living it.
Exactly, exactly. You can get a hold of Ann or myself on LinkedIn.com, Ann Crawford, and for myself, Bonnie McDonald Dixon. You can catch up with us there. We're available singly, or hey, two for one. Get
That's
a
right.
hold of us. We can both meet up with you on a one-to-one Zoom. We'd love to connect with you and see how can we help you get what you want of having a career you love. So, till next time, we'll look forward to seeing you next week. And this is going to be really fun. You're going to be excited.
All right, get ready. Write those lists down. We can't
Mhm.
wait to hear from you.
That's right.